Hi, this is Satanico here, and previously I read the introductions to Alan Moore and David Lloyd's V for Vendetta, their own personal introductions to the collected book, and now we're actually going to get into the book. So this is Book 1, Europe After the Rain, and this is V for Vendetta by writer-creator Alan Moore and artist David Lloyd. Good evening, London. It's 9 o'clock, and this is the Voice of Fate, broadcasting on 275 and 285 in the medium wave. It is the 5th of the 11th, 1997. The weather will be fine until 12:07 a.m., when a shower will commence, lasting until 1:30 a.m. The temperatures will vary between 13 and 14 degrees centigrade throughout the night. The people of London are advised that the Brixton and Streatham areas are quarantine zones as of today. It is suggested that these areas be avoided for reasons of health and safety. Productivity reports from Hertfordshire indicate a possible end to meat rationing starting from mid-February 1998. This good news follows similar announcements concerning the increased production of both eggs and potatoes. Police raided 17 homes in Birmingham area earlier this morning, uncovering what is believed to be a major terrorist ring. 20 people, 8 of them women, are currently in detention awaiting trial. As you can see, this is V entering the scene, and this is his sort of famous lair. You can see his wig there, his iconic Guy Fawkes mask, his iconic top hat and cape. And you can see that he has a taste for very old movies, pre-fascism days, Murders at the Rue Morgue, Jimmy Cagney's White Heat, Son of Frankenstein, Bing Crosby. And you can also get a brief glimpse of his library, including, somewhat disturbingly, Adolf Hitler's autobiography, Mein Kampf. That is a little hint that Alan Moore's put in there of the fascism that is inherent throughout the book, and not necessarily V is fighting fascism, but he also does it in a relatively extreme way, as you will see. So everyone is more than a little bit morally compromised in the book, but this is an introduction to the character that we will see emerge. Queen Zara today appeared at the opening of the new waste reclamation plant in Plaistow. This was the Queen's first public appearance since her 16th birthday in June. The Queen was wearing a suit of peach silk created especially for the occasion by the royal courtier. In a speech today, Mr. Adrian Carrell, party minister for Industry, stated that Britain's industrial prospects are brighter than at any time since the last war. Mr. Carrell went on to say that it is the very duty of every man in this country to seize the initiative and make Britain great again. Very interesting slogan there, make Britain great again. Sounds very familiar to a slogan I heard in the American presidential campaign recently. Those slogans never seem to pay off, do they? That is the face of London tonight. We remind you that tomorrow is the final date for the completion of your census forms, and the target date for the conclusion of the Deptford Marsh Clearance Project. This is the Voice of Fate, signing off. Have a pleasant evening. Chapter 1, The Villain, who may not be the villain after all. Parliament's cold shadow falls on Westminster Bridge, and she shivers. There was power here once, power that decided the destiny of millions. Mister, her transactions, her decisions are insignificant. They affect no one except for her. Would you like to sleep with me or anything? I mean, for money? It's the clumsiest piece of propositioning I've ever heard. You've not been doing this very long, have you? Oh God, that must be really terrible. Yeah, you're right. It's my first night. You're my first customer. Customer, yeah? I've got a job in munitions, but the money is, you know, it isn't enough. Look, mister, I really need that money. I'd be okay. I mean, I'm 16. I know what I'm doing. No, you don't know what you're doing. Because if you did, you wouldn't have picked a vice detail on stakeout. Oh, Christ, you're a finger man. That's right, and these are my colleagues. You know the laws on prostitution. It's a Class H offense. That means we get to decide what happens to you. That's our prerogative. Oh no, look, please, mister, it was my first time. I'll do anything you want. Please don't kill me. Strength through purity, purity through faith. You've got it wrong, miss. You'll do anything we want, and then we'll kill you. That's our prerogative. Oh, please, don't. Oh, Jesus, no, please. The multiplying villainies of nature do swarm upon him. Who the hell? And fortune, on his damned quarrel smiling, showed like a rebel's whore. Who's he? I don't know, must be some kind of retard, get out of the hospital. Hey, you. But all's too weak for brave Macbeth. Well, he deserves that name. What are you doing? You're in big trouble, chum. Big trouble. This woman is a criminal. We're police officers. She's wanted for interrogation, so keep your hands off. See, his hand, in fact, did come off. Disdaining fortune with a brandished steel, which smoked with bloody execution. Like valor's minion carved out his passage, till he faced the slave. Oh, which never shook hands, nor bade farewell to him. Tear gas! Holy Christ, it's tear gas! I got his hand. What shall I do with it? Oh, Jesus. What the hell happened? He just came out of nowhere, and what the hell happened? Frank's dead. They're all dead. Oh, Christ, what are we going to do? Find him. We've got to find him, or the head will have our guts. How did he do it? I've never seen anybody move so fast. He killed Frank. That bastard, we've got to find him. You rescued me, like in a story. I don't believe it. I mean, who are you? Me, I'm the king of the 20th century. I'm the bogeyman, the villain, the black sheep of the family. Yeah, but what were you doing around here? I didn't think anybody came to Westminster night except for you, you know, women. But tonight is special. Tonight is a celebration, a grand opening. Were you never taught the rhyme? Remember, remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. Boom. I did that. Oh, the Houses of Parliament, they've been... Did you do that? I did that. That's against the law. They'll kill you. Did you really do that? I really did. Now hush, there's more. The rumble of the explosion has not yet died away, as from far below comes the rattle of smaller reports, and suddenly the sky is alight with fireworks, real fireworks. Oh God, they're so beautiful. And all over London, windows are thrown open, faces lit with awe and wonder gaze at the omens scrawled on fire on the night. There, the overture is finished. Come, we must prepare for the first act. Me? But, okay. It is precisely 12:07 a.m. It begins to rain. November the 6th, 1997. It is 6:30 in the morning. I will hear your reports now, gentlemen. Mr. Heyer will speak for the eye. We have just under 3 minutes of usable footage, leader. The large majority of our recorders were damaged in the explosion. To my left is an enlargement of the suspect's face. I'm afraid the mask makes retinal identification impossible. Close up, if you please, Mr. Heyer. Thank you, Mr. Heyer. Mr. Etheridge will now speak for the ears. Phone surveillance indicates that a large proportion of the people are talking about the explosion that's inside London. All suspect or significant transcripts are being forwarded to Mr. Almond at the Finger. Mr. Almond is with me at present. I shall inform him. Mr. Fitch will speak for the nose. We found the device probably used to launch the fireworks and some spent casings, individually weighted flares at a guess. Despite its sophistication, I should say that the device was almost certainly homemade and thus untraceable. Sorry, leader, nothing else yet. Thank you, Mr. Finch. The three of you will inform me of any further developments and await my directive. England prevails, gentlemen. Leader, well, we have heard from the rest of the head. That leaves you, Mr. Allman. 3 fingermen were killed last night by one solitary lunatic. It is also highly probable that the same person had earlier planted an explosive device of startling capability within the Houses of Parliament. You will be silent, Mr. Almond. Your incompetence has cost us our oldest symbol of authority and a jarring propaganda defeat. Do you understand what happened last night? Someone did the unthinkable. Someone hurt us. And you allowed them to do it. I want this creature and his associates found, Mr. Almond. I want his head, or by God, I'll have yours instead. You will consult Mr. Dascombe at Jordan Tower before making any official pronouncements. That will be all, Mr. Almond. England prevails. England prevails, leader. Jordan Tower, 7 o'clock. Of course you did, Lewis. We all got up early this morning, didn't we? Now, if we can just run through it once more before we can put it in the can, then... excuse me for a moment, Lewis. Derek. Don't see you down here in the mouth very often. Oh, down in the mouth. I could have made a joke out of that, couldn't I? You have done, Daskman. Several times. What's fate putting out on the Parliament bombing? Well, fate wants us to say it was a scheduled demolition undertaken at night to avoid traffic congestion. It's going out on the 8 o'clock broadcast. I was just running through it with Lewis when you came in. Lewis Prothero. He does the voice of fate. Good morning, London. This is the voice of fate broadcasting on 275 and 285 meters in the medium wave. Chapter 2, The Voice. What are you saying about the fireworks? Fate doesn't think we should mention the fireworks. If anyone asks later, we'll say it was a freak effect of the blast. Listen to Lewis. Isn't he marvelous? If fate really had a voice, it would sound like that. If only people knew what a good job he's doing. Don't be stupid, Dascombe. The whole idea is that people think it's fate talking. It makes fate appear more human, gives people confidence. He collects dolls, you know. Wouldn't think it, would you? Big man like that collecting dolls. He's sensitive. You see, you can hear it by his voice. Yes, a lot of media people are sensitive, aren't you? I don't know why the leader tolerates you. My dear Derek, the leader is the most sensitive of us all. In fact, when you'd finished explaining how a lone lunatic could kill 3 fingermen and blow up Parliament, I should imagine he was very sensitive. You're a degenerate, Dascombe. You're bitter almond. Bitter almond, oh dear me. Please yourself. All right, Lewis, from the top. Bitter almond, oh dear me. Shadow Gallery. Look, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I mean, after you rescued me, but I don't understand any of this. Who are you? What do you want, or anything? I mean, I know you must have had a reason for blindfolding me when you brought me here, but couldn't you just couldn't you just tell me where we are? Are we still in London? We're in the Shadow Gallery. This is my home. Do you like it? I built it myself, you know. It's unbelievable. All these paintings and books. I didn't even know there were things like this. You couldn't be expected to know. They were of eradicated culture. Tossed it away like a fistful of dead roses. All of the books, all the films, all the music. Shakespeare. Ivanhoe. Divine Comedy, more Shakespeare. The Odyssey. Frankenstein, Gulliver's Travels. Don Quixote by Cervantes, of course. The French Revolution. Goethe. So... The music is beautiful. You must think I'm really stupid. All I've ever heard is the military stuff they play on the radio. But all of this stuff on your jukebox sounds so, I don't know, alive. What's this playing now? I mean, the woman's voice doesn't even sound English. It's not, and the word is jukebox with a J. The song is called Dancing in the Streets. It's being sung by Martha and the Vandellas, as perhaps the term Tamla Motown is familiar to you. Obviously not. Hardly surprising, I suppose, after all. They eradicated some cultures more thoroughly than they did others. No Tamla, no Trojan, no Billie Holiday or Black Uhuru. Just his master's voice every hour on the hour. We'll have to see what we can do about that. Sorry, this compartment is full. Full? Don't be ridiculous, man. It's empty apart from the three of you. There's plenty of... I said it's full, craphead. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. It's full. Of course, yeah, it's full. Well, blocked Ted. Can't have the carriage full of civilians. Civilians don't appreciate trains. Takes a military man to appreciate trains. Like dolls. Your average civilian does not give a monkeys about dolls. No appreciation, you see. Did I tell you I collected dolls, George? Yes, Mr. Prothero. I think you may have mentioned it once or twice. Very interesting. Interesting. That's exactly right. Mind you, your average military man. Ask your average citizen. He'd say, dolls were for pooftas. Ignorance, you see? Myself, I've always been a ladies' man. Tales I could tell you about when I was in Aden. I remember once Porky Appleby and myself met these two native gels. Jesus Christ, what the hell's that? What was that? Just before we went the tunnel, I thought I saw something up on the bridge. I don't know, it could have been rags on a fence or something, I suppose. So anyway, we'd both have a few tinctures by that time, and Porky says to one of these local bints, the eldest gel, I think it was, he says, "Excuse me, Mr. Prothero, Ted, did you hear something, a bang on the roof of the train?" I say we're stopping. Is everything alright? Do you, think? I don't, what's happened to the lights? Oh, bloody hell. What the fuck? Shouldn't worry if I were you lads. British Rail's acting up again. Lights'll be on in a minute, you see. Now, as I was saying, there was Porky with one hand. Just a minute, Mr. Prothero. Shooter's out. Ted, just in case. I'm sorry, Mr. Prothero. Please go on. And so the eldest gel says, "With a monkey? Should bloody Coco?" Ha 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 ha. Good one, eh? They do seem to be taking their time, don't they? Perhaps you should go and have a word with the driver, dear George. George? George? Don't take offense, George. It was just a naughty yarn. We're all men of the world, eh, George? George. Oh my God, Ted, it's George. He's... Ted? Oh Lord, what's the matter? The pair of you, for Christ's sake. Hello. November 6, 1997. So let's just hear it. Once more in your own words. The train entered the tunnel and then what? Well, I mean, it's difficult to say. It all happened so quick, didn't it? I didn't actually hear anything. Just sort of caught something moving out of the corner of my eye, and then it was all over when it... Could you give us a description of your attacker? Height, dress, anything like that? Well, it was sort of black, you know what I mean? Just this big black shape coming out of the side window of the cab. It had a face, only not a proper face, and it was smiling. I see. And then what happened? Did it hit you? Did it strike you in any way? No, I mean, that was the funny bit. It sort of touched me up here on the neck. I felt this like an electric shock, sort of, and then I just passed out. Came to an hour later when the security force arrived on the scene. I see. Well, I think that's about it, Mr. Bishop. The officer will take your address in case we need to contact you. Thank you for your trouble. Mr. Finch, what do you think? Is it the same bloke who did the Parliament bombing, or what? I hope so, Dominic, because if it's not, then there must be two of them. And that's a possibility I'd rather not consider without a stiff drink in my hand. Me neither, Mr. Finch. What exactly are we up against here? Who is this character? I mean, all this business about boarding moving trains. It's like something out of the pictures. Normal people can't do things like that. You're right, Dominic. Or knock out a 13-stone train driver by touching him lightly on the neck. Normal people can't do things like that. In fact, I don't think it's going too far to say that most normal people have never even considered blowing up the Houses of Parliament. So what we're up against is someone who isn't normal people, either physically or mentally. It's the mentally bit that bothers me. Because if I'm going to crack this case, and I am, I'm going to have to get right inside his head to think the way he thinks, and that scares me. Here we are. Anything been touched in here? No, sir, everything's as we found it when we got to the train out of the tunnel. Chapter 3, Victims. I'll need some photographs of this chest wound. It wasn't a knife or a bullet that did this. In fact, I've got a nasty suspicion that whoever did this did it with their fingers. What do you make of this, Mr. Finch? Damned if I know. Get a photograph of it. And let me have some paint scrapings for analysis. Perhaps the forensic people back at the nose will be able to tell us something, although frankly I doubt it. Other than that, just the usual stuff. Dust the carriage for dabs. Get a path report on the bodies. Fate will want a copy, remember. Hello, what's this? A rose. A Violent Carson rose. Funny, I thought they'd been extinct since the war. Our friend in the mask has got quite a thing about the letter V, wouldn't you say? And unless we find a body in the next couple of hours, looks like he's got a Louis Prothero as well. Blowing up the Houses of Parliament, kidnapping our top broadcaster. Think he's trying to tell us something? I don't know, sir. Jesus Christ. What he'd done to those men. I've seen worse, Dominic. Physically speaking, like I say, it's the mental side that bothers me. His attitude to killing. Think about it. He killed them ruthlessly, efficiently, and with a minimum of fuss. Whatever their faults, those two were human beings, and he slaughtered them like cattle. The Shadow Gallery. Oh, I'm sorry. You startled me. I didn't hear you come in. Nobody ever does. You've been crying. Yes, don't take any notice of me. I'm a baby. It was when you went out earlier and didn't say where you were going. I didn't think that is. I mean, I was scared you wouldn't come back. I know I'm stupid, but my life's suddenly become very strange. I don't know what's happening anymore. Last night, those men, they said they'd kill me and you rescued me. You rescued me and you brought me to this fantastic place, and it's so beautiful and it makes me feel so safe, and I don't even know what your name is. I don't have a name. You can call me V. What shall I call you? My name is Evie. Evie Hammond. I'm nobody. Nobody special. Not like you. Everybody is special. Everybody. Everybody is a hero. Everybody is a lover. Everybody is a fool. A villain. Everybody. Everybody has their story to tell, even Evie Hammond. I should very much like to hear Evie Hammond's story. But there's nothing to tell. I'm only 16. I haven't done anything. 16. Then you were born in 1981. Yes. In September, we used to live on Shooter's Hill in South London. It was nice there. I've got a photograph if you want to see. Just me and my mum and dad. I didn't have any brothers or sisters. Dad said he couldn't afford any more kids. This was during the recession of the 80s. Yeah, I don't remember much. I know Dad said things didn't get much better when Labour got into power. He said that the only election promise that they kept was getting rid of the American missiles that were there stationed over here. And the war, Evie. Do you remember the war? Of course I do. I was only 7. But I remember when the news came over the radio, Dad kept telling Mom not to worry. He was scared to death. It was about Poland and the Russians, wasn't it? President Kennedy said that he'd use the bomb if they didn't get out. That's what Dad told me. It was horrible. Nobody knew if Britain would get bombed or not. I remember Mom saying, Africa's not there anymore. That's all she said. I thought about all the lions and elephants being dead. It made me cry. I was only 7. But Britain didn't get bombed. Not that it made much difference. The bombs and things had done something to the weather. Something bad. I remember one day Dad called Mom and me back into the back bedroom. He said he wanted to show us something. We could see right across London from the bedroom window. It was nearly all underwater. The Thames barrier had burst. The sky was all yellow and black. I've never seen a sky like it. Dad said Mum was finished. London was finished. He wanted to take Mum and me to the country. Mum wouldn't go, just as well, I suppose. It turned out that the countryside was worse than the towns. The weather had destroyed all the crops, see. There was no food coming from Europe, because Europe had gone, like Africa. I didn't like to think about the next 4 years. We got together with some neighbors and a protection committee. It didn't help much. There was no food. The sewers were flooded. Everybody got sick. Mom died in 1991. Dad wouldn't let me see her. There were riots and people with guns. Nobody knew what was going on. Everyone was waiting for the government to do something, and there wasn't any government anymore. Just lots of little gangs all trying to take over. And then in 1992, finally somebody did. It was all the fascist groups, the right-wingers. They'd all gotten together with some of the big corporations that had survived. Norse Fire, they called themselves. I remember when they marched into London. They had a flag with their symbol on it. Everyone was cheering. I thought they were scary. They soon got things under control, but then they started taking people away. All the black people and the Pakistanis. White people too. All the radicals. The men who, liked other men. The homosexuals. I don't know what they did with them all. Dad had been in a socialist group when he was younger. They came for him one September morning in 1993. It was my birthday. I was 12. I never saw him again. They made me go to work in a factory with a lot of other kids. We were putting matches into boxes. I lived in a hostel. It was cold and dirty, and I just used to cry all the time. I wanted my dad. That's how it was for 4 years. Not enough food, not enough money. Some of the older girls made money going with men. That's what I was going to do last night, but there were fingermen. They were going to Hush, child. It's over now. You're safe. The past can't hurt you anymore. Not unless you let it. They made you into a victim, Evie. They made you into a statistic. But that's not the real you. That's not who you are inside. Just trust me, Evie, and we can wipe it all away. All the pain, all the cruelty, all the bereavement. We can start again. There, you see? All gone. And Evie Hammond sobs like the child she is. Sobs because at long last her nightmare is over. Where am I? What happened? And what am I doing wearing this uniform? His nightmare is only just beginning. Lark Hill Resettlement Camp. Oh my God. November the 7th, 1997. The leader in Mr. Finch. I think he's a psychopath leader. I use the word in the most precise sense. I see. Then we can't assume that codename V will behave like a conventional terrorist. We can't assume that he will eventually issue a set of demands or ask for the usual concessions. I don't think he's out for concessions, leader. I think he's out for blood. Then he's certainly getting it, isn't he, Mr. Finch? He's blown up the Houses of Parliament, dispatched 5 of Mr. Allman's fingermen, and now he's abducted our top broadcaster. If Prothero is unable to make his Voice of Fate broadcast as scheduled, our credibility will suffer. 2 days, Mr. Finch. That is all it's taken him. Couldn't Mr. Dascombe arrange a stand-in for Prothero, leader? Ah, yes, but the problem is that Mr. Dascombe is too good at his work. The people actually believe that the voice of Louis Prothero is that of the fate computer. Britain's belief in the integrity of fate is the cornerstone of our new order. Any change in the voice, and it just won't be the same. I see from a propaganda angle, we've been put in a bit of a spot, haven't we? Although personally, I don't go much for this new order business. It's just my job to help Britain out of this mess. You already know that, leader. Indeed I do, Mr. Finch. You have expressed such sentiments before, and you are still alive. That you are still alive is a mark of my respect for you and your craft. Leave me now, there are many problems to consider. I wish to speak with fate. England prevails, Mr. Finch. England prevails, leader. The Shadow Gallery, Evie Hammond. V. Nothing. I was just trying to get used to saying it out loud. V. It's a funny thing to call yourself. I'm a funny person, Evie. You'll find that out when you've known me longer. A very funny person indeed. You're a kind person listening to me telling my sob story. All about the war and Mom and Dad. All about my stupid life. What are you going to do, V? The world is so big and horrible. And there's just you. And me, I suppose. You and me, Evie. You and me against the world. Melodrama, Evie. Isn't it strange how life turns into melodrama? That's very important to you, isn't it? All that theatrical stuff. It's everything, Evie. The perfect entrance, the grand illusion. It's everything. And I'm going to bring the house down. They've forgotten the drama of it all. You see, they've abandoned their scripts when the world withered in the glare of the nuclear footlights. I'm going to remind them about the melodrama, about the twopenny rush and the penny dreadful. You see, Evie, all the world's a stage, and everything else is vaudeville. The Shadow Gallery, Louis Prothero. Chapter 4, Vaudeville. This will be a very dark performance indeed. Hello, I say, is there anybody there? I suppose you think all this is bloody funny. All this resettlement camp malarkey. All this putting me in a uniform. Well, all I can say is that you've got a damn queer sense of humor. Damn queer. You've got the wrong man, chummy. The resettlement camps mean bugger all to me. Bugger all. You've got the wrong man. Oh, God. Is there anybody there? Lights. Good morning, campers. Uniform all pressed. All brushed and pressed and ready for duty. I see. Good man. Commander Prothero. Good man. Let's see. Let's get to work, shall we? These concentration camps, these resettlement camps, don't run themselves, do they? Look, I don't know who you are, how you got this bloody silly idea in your bonnet, but you've got the wrong man. I'm a broadcaster. I didn't have anything to do with the resettlement camps. Larkhill, 1993. I was there, Commander Prothero. You were oh God. Look smart, Commander. We've got to make the inspection tour. We've got to make the tour of inspection now. You remember? The way you used to make it every evening back in the good old days? Oh, God. All coming back to you, eh? The main body of the prisoners would be gathered in the yard, awaiting your inspection. You simply had to walk from your office down past the Nissen huts, turn the corner, and there they were. My dolls. That's part of my doll collection. How did you... They were all safely locked away when I left for work yesterday. What are you doing with my dolls? My God, if you've damaged any of them, they're priceless. Hardly any of the big collections survived the war. If you've damaged them... Admirable concern, Commander. Yet it's deuced odd, isn't it? How you can show so much concern for porcelain and plastic, and so little for flesh and blood. Do you remember, Commander? Do you remember when it was people gathered in this sordid little enclosure? People half dead with starvation and dysentery? Look, you know as well as I do, we had to do what we did. All the darkies, the Nancy boys, the beatniks, it was them or us. Us or them. Don't you understand? Perfectly. Come along, Commander. Your tour isn't over yet. There are still the special prisoners to see, the ones in the medical compound. Just along here, this is where you kept the ones who had taken part in your scientist experiments, I believe they used to call them. You had to walk past this row of doors every night. Room 1, Room 2, Room 3, Room 4, Room 5, V. Room 5. But that was where they kept, oh no, that was you, wasn't it? You're the man from Room 5? That's right. I remember you used to call out to us sometimes. Little jokes. You had a special name for the medical block. You used to call it the funny farm. I remember what a good voice you had. I imagine that's why they picked you for the freight broadcast. Man of many talents, eh, Commander? Then, of course, there was that other little job you used to do. The ovens, Commander. You used to work the ovens. Oh, no, my dolls. Please, you can't. Please, I'm begging you, please. Mama, mama, mama. I won't do that. Not my dolls. Incinerated. Same way they used to incinerate people. People of color, people of different sexual preferences, people of different nationalities and ethnicities, different creeds, different religions, all exterminated. No! New Scotland Yard, later. Oh, hello, Sarge. It's not the end of my shift already, is it? I was just, Shh. Oh, God, but who? Who? Hello, Sergeant. This is Goddard at the front. Could you get out here, please, quickly? Yes, I think it's an emergency. Yes, I've got something out here. No, I'm not sure what. Jordan Tower, Roger Dascombe. Who? I told you that I mustn't be disturbed while... Good old bitter almond. Do come in. If you've come to tell me what a thoroughly miserable job you've made of finding poor Lewis, then spare me the agony. I expected as much. Oh, on the contrary, Roger, old boy, we found him. I don't believe it. Wheel him in, boys. Oh, we found him, all right. Or at least, we found what's left of him. Mama. Lewis. That's all he said for the past 3 hours. Good luck with tonight's broadcast, Roger, old boy. Mama. 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 The Voice of Fate is recorded 48 hours in advance. The pre-recordings ran out at 10 o'clock. It is now 11. Good evening, London. This is the Voice of Fate, broadcasting on 275 and 285 in the medium wave. The capital listens. There is something wrong. There is something wrong with the Voice of Fate. Such a small thing to cast. Such a long and uneasy shadow over the future. For whatever the future holds, one thing is certain. It just won't be the same. And that is chapter 1 through 4. And chapter 5 is called Versions. So perhaps we'll end here, and even though I am enjoying reading it, perhaps I could read one more chapter for you. So even though that seemed like such a good place to end. Okay, so I'll continue on, so I don't have to reset everything. December 12th, 1997, first version. My name is Adam Susan. I am the leader of the lost ruler of the ruins. I am a man like any other man. I lead the country that I love out of the wilderness of the 20th century. I believe in survival, in the destiny of the Nordic race. I believe in fascism. Oh yes, I am a fascist. What of it? Fascism is a word whose meaning has been lost in the bleedings of the weak and the treacherous. The weak and the treacherous, like perhaps the Statue of Liberty and all that she stands for, which current administration of the United States has questioned what she stands for quite recently. The Romans invented fascism. A bundle of bound twigs was its symbol. One twig could be broken, a bundle would prevail. Fascism, strength and unity. I believe in strength, I believe in unity. And if that strength, that unity of purpose demands a uniformity of thought, word and deed, then so be it. I will not hear talk of freedom. I will not hear talk of individual liberty. You are luxuries. They are luxuries. I do not believe in luxuries. The war put paid to luxury. The war put paid to freedom. The only freedom left to my people is the freedom to starve, the freedom to die, the freedom to live in a world of chaos. Should I allow them that freedom? I think not. I think not. Do I reserve for myself the freedom I deny others? I do not. I sit here within my cage, and I am but a servant. I am a master of all I see. I see desolation. I see ashes. I have so very much. I have so very little. I am not loved. I know that. Not in the soul or body. I've never known the soft whisper of endearment, never known the peace that lies between the thighs of a woman. But I am respected. I am feared. That will suffice. Because I love. I, who am not loved in return, I have a love that is far deeper than the empty gasp and convulsions of a British coupling, of a brutish coupling. British and British. Shall I speak of her? Shall I speak of my bride? She has no eyes to flirt or promise. She sees all, sees and understands with a wisdom that is godlike in its scale. I stand at the gates of her intellect. and I am blinded by the light within. How stupid I must seem to her, how childlike and uncomprehending. Her soul is clean, untainted by the snares and ambiguities of emotion. She does not hate, she does not yearn, she is untouched by joy or sorrow. I worship her, though I am not worthy. I cherish the purity of her disdain. She does not respect me, she does not fear me. She does not love me. They think she is hard and cold. Those who do not know her, they think she is lifeless and without passion. They do not know her, she has not touched them. She touches me, and I am touched by God, by destiny. The whole of existence courses through her. I worship her. I am her slave. No freedom ever was so sweet. My love, I would stay with you forever, would spend my life within you. I would wait upon your every utterance and never ask the merest splinter of affection. Fate, fate, I love you. The Old Bailey, second version. Hello, dear lady. A lovely evening, is it not? I'm sorry, of course it wasn't the Statue of Liberty, but it was kind of standing in for it. Forgive me for intruding, perhaps. You were intending to take a stroll? Perhaps you were merely enjoying the view. No matter. I thought it was time we had a little chat, you and I. I was forgetting. We're not properly introduced. I do not have a name, but you can call me V. Madam Justice. This is V. V, this is Madam Justice. Hello, Madam Justice. Good evening, V. There now. We know each other, actually. I've been a fan of yours for quite some time. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Poor boy has a crush on me. An adolescent infatuation. I beg your pardon, madam. It isn't like that at all. I've long admired you, albeit only from a distance. I used to stare at you from the streets below when I was a child. I'd say to my father, "Who is that lady?" And he'd say, "That's Madam Justice." And I'd say, "Isn't she pretty?" Please don't think it was merely physical. I know you're not that sort of gal. No, I loved you as a person. As an ideal. That was a long time ago, I'm afraid. There's someone else now. What? V, for shame. You have betrayed me for some harlot? Some vain, pouting hussy with painted lips and a knowing smile? Aye, madam, I beg to differ. It was your infidelity that drove me to her arms. Ha ha ha. That surprised you, didn't it? You thought I didn't know about your little fling, but I do. I know everything. Frankly, I wasn't surprised. When I found out, you always did have an eye for a man in uniform. Uniform? Well, I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. I was always you. It was always you, V. You were the only one. Liar, slut, whore. Deny that you let him have your way with you? Him with his armbands and his jackboots? Well, cat got your tongue? I thought as much. Very well. So you stand revealed at last. You are no longer my justice. You are his justice. Now you have bedded another. Well, two can play that game. Sob, choke. Who is she, V? What is her name? Her name is Anarchy. She has taught me more than a mistress than you ever did. She's taught me that justice is meaningless without freedom. She is honest. She makes no promises and breaks none. Unlike you, you Jezebel. I used to wonder why you could never look me in the eye. Now I know. So goodbye, dear lady. I would be saddened by our parting, even now, save that you are no longer the woman that I once loved. Here is a final gift I leave at your feet. And the inevitable explosion. The flames of freedom, how lovely, how just. Ah, my precious anarchy. O beauty, till I know, till now I never knew thee. Epilogue. Mr. Prothero. Lewis, it's me, Mr. Finch. I'm your friend. Lewis, your friend. Can you hear me, Lewis? I want to know what happened to Lewis. I want to know what he did to you. You know what I'm talking about, don't you, Lewis? I'm talking about the man in the cloak, Lewis. I'm talking about the smiling man. Mama. Christ, I thought we'd gotten him away from his mama. Alright, Lewis, you're safe. We're your friends. He can't hurt you now. He can't find you here. Lewis, what's the use? Whatever that beggar did to him, it was for keeps. Come on, Dominic. We'll have another crack at him after a cup of tea and a hand of brag. Let's take 5. 5. 5, room 5. 5. The Shadow Gallery, December 15th, 1997. V. Evie. Sometimes I could just punch you in that stupid smiley face. V. It's the inscription on that arch in the big hall. You know it is. I just wondered what it meant, that's all. It's a quotation, a motto. Vi veri vineversum, vivus vici. By the power of truth, I, while living, have conquered the universe. Latin. Sort of. You can do whatever you want, can't you? I mean, I suppose that's conquering the universe. I mean, doing what you want. This place is the only universe I've got at the moment. Does that bother you? No, yes, so I don't know. I mean, it's just that I keep thinking I should try to help you the way you're helping me. I mean, that's the deal, isn't it? No deals, Evie. Not unless you want them. I think I do. I mean, part of me just wants to stay in here forever. Never have to go outside and face what's going on. That's not right, is it? That's not taking responsibility for myself like what you said. I want to help you, V. I want to do something. I won't get in the way, I promise. Can I, V? Can we make a deal? If you like, I think I know a way you could help me very soon indeed. Yes, I think we can make a deal. Good, that's then right. V, you said that V thing was a quote. Who said it in the first place? Nobody you'd have heard of, a German gentleman named Dr. John Faust. He made a deal too. With the devil. Westminster Abbey, December 20th. Whose glorious feet in iron are shod, whose heart is tempered steel, him who hath granted us this day, and at whose throne we kneel. Who sent the fire, the scourging rain of that most dreadful night, who purged the wicked from his sword, yet granted us respite. One race, one creed, one hope in thee. Who loved us in our pain, who let us fall not very far, that we should rise again. Let us pray, dear God, thou who hast granted us reprieve from thy final judgment, thou who hast provided us with that most terrible warning. Help us be worthy of your mercy, as you were when you didst turn aside thy wrath which did rain fire from the heavens. Help us to resist the temptations of the evil one who has surely come amongst us in the hour of our greatest trial. For I have seen a vision of dark and satanic evil that cometh forth from the night to ensnare the weak and the sinful, an avatar of damnation, who will seek to sully the truth with his venomous lies and shallow sophistications. O God, thou who knowest all that we do, thou who art our fate and final destiny, help us to clearly perceive thy holy will. Help us to resist the wiles of the evil one, and stand firm in thee, one race, one nation, united in thy love. This we ask in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Amen. And there we will end it for now. We have read through chapter 5 of V for Vendetta by Alan Moore and David Lloyd. It is absolutely fascinating and exquisitely written, with maybe a few hiccups in dialogue that Alan Moore admitted when he began writing it, that in looking back at it, he agreed to keep those in when it was collected to sort of show the progress he made as a writer as this story progressed. But I'm enjoying reading it, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to it. And I don't know how many chapters are even in this, but we are up to chapter 6, and I will be back soon enough to read some more. I have no idea how long this video has lasted, but I think it's lasted quite long enough, so we'll call it a day for now. And once again, this is Satanico. I hope you enjoyed the reading of the first 5 chapters of V for Vendetta, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.